I invited my family to my award ceremony the same way I'd invited them to every important moment of my life, quietly hopeful, pretending I didn't care if they said no. The message sat in the group chat for a full minute before Dad replied with a laughing emoji. "Just a lowly secretary," he wrote, as if my job title erased the years of late nights, exams, and sacrifices. My sister followed almost instantly. "We're busy going to dinner." Mom didn't say a word. She just liked my sister's message. I stared at my phone, felt that familiar tightness in my chest, and typed, "That's fine." I even meant it, or at least I wanted to. The ceremony hall was packed that evening, filled with uniforms, polished shoes, and proud faces in the crowd. I sat alone, hands folded, listening as names were called. When they called mine, the applause felt distant, like it belonged to someone else. The medal was heavy in my hand, the citation even heavier. Years of service, leadership, responsibility. I smiled for the camera because that's what you do when you're used to being strong on your own. Later that night, while I carefully placed the award back in its case, my family was out eating, laughing, not thinking about me at all. Or so I thought. Across town, Dad scrolled mindlessly through his phone while waiting for the check. A news article popped up. He almost skipped past it, until he saw my face. His fingers froze. The headline mentioned an award ceremony, a commendation, a rank he didn't recognize. His stomach dropped. What is this?" he muttered, turning the screen toward my mother. They read the article in silence, the noise of the restaurant fading away. It detailed missions I had never spoken about, responsibilities I downplayed, and a role far beyond secretary. My sister scoffed at first, saying articles exaggerate everything, but even she couldn't ignore the official photos. There I was, standing straight in uniform, medal pinned to my chest, flanked by officers who outranked everyone Dad had ever bragged about knowing. Mom's face changed slowly, confusion giving way to something closer to shame. "Why didn't she tell us?" she asked. Dad didn't answer. He remembered every joke, every dismissive comment, every time he'd compared me to someone else's success. Back home later that night, Mom typed a message, deleted it, typed again. "We didn't realize," she finally sent. I read it while sitting on my bed, the award case open beside me. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted revenge, but because for the first time I realized I didn't need their recognition to validate my life. The silence felt different now. Less lonely, more peaceful. The next day my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Dad called first, his voice awkward, overly cheerful, like a stranger trying too hard. He asked questions he should have asked years ago. What exactly did I do? How long had I been in this role? Why hadn't I mentioned the deployments? I answered calmly, briefly, refusing to fill the gaps he'd left with emotional labor. When Mom called, she cried. Said she was proud. Said she wished she'd been there. I thanked her because that's who I am, but I didn't offer comfort. My sister texted last, casual as always, saying, "Guess you're kind of a big deal." I laughed softly at that. At work, nothing changed. I still showed up early, still handled responsibility without applause. But something inside me had shifted. I stopped shrinking my accomplishments to make others comfortable. I spoke with confidence in meetings. I stood taller in uniform. When another ceremony came weeks later, I didn't invite anyone. I brought a friend instead. Someone who'd seen the work, the exhaustion, the quiet resilience. As applause filled the room, I felt whole. That night, my family watched photos online again, but this time there was no shock, no frozen scrolling. Just the slow realization that they had underestimated me, and that they were the ones who had missed out. Months later, Dad tried to fix things the only way he knew how: public pride. He bragged about me to relatives, shared articles, corrected people who repeated his old secretary joke. I heard about it secondhand and felt nothing but distance. Healing didn't mean going backward. When we finally met for dinner, the same restaurant they'd chosen over my ceremony, the conversation was polite, careful. They asked about my work with genuine curiosity this time. I answered honestly but kept parts of myself reserved. Not out of spite but self-respect. At the end of the meal, Dad looked at me and said, "I'm proud of you." I nodded, accepted it, and stood to leave. Walking out into the night, I realized the real award had never been the medal. It was the moment I stopped waiting to be seen and started seeing myself.